Hey everybody, I'm Carrie Sheffield with Bold TV, and we are excited to have the head of Fubu Television with us, Mr. Jay Alexander Martin. Welcome. So Jay, great to have you here. We're excited to learn more about Fubu Television. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, who your audience is, and where you're trying to grow.
Well, first of all, Fubu started so many years ago, and our acronym was For Us, By Us. So basically, I've taken that whole concept and called it basically Fubu TV.
Yep. And for us, it's the African American community.
Yes, yep. African American community, multicultural, global. That's where we've grown to. So I put a little bit of everything in that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so how does Fubu Television work? What's your distribution? Who's your audience? And what's your content?
It's an array of content that kind of helps the community. Not necessarily just helps the community, but shows the problems and the reasons on why people do things.
What's your goal and vision for Fubu TV?
Well, my goal and vision really is to just provide programming that we want to watch. I think a lot of times we don't have the voice that we want to, and people depict us in a certain way. I know what we have. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what my constituents want. I know what my demographic wants. So I'm able to show them or provide that.
When I think of Fubu, I think of like an aspirational brand. You know, it's something that I think a lot of people, you know, it's creating your own lifestyle. It's kind of creating your own wealth. It was something that, you know, Damon made himself. Do you think that concept of being able to pull yourself up from your bootstraps, do you think that's something that Republicans could tap into if they had the right candidate?
Well, yes, 100%, and that's to me, and as I grew up, that's what Republicans meant. It meant, you know, it meant affluent. It meant, you know, capitalism, and you know, as soon as you started making some money, you switched to Republican. That's just what you do. You may not have totally agree, but then again, you want to keep your money. So you can't do that with the Democrat, and that's how we think. You know, people don't look at what trickle down. Yep. You know, it starts with a spark, and then everything just burns. So they're not thinking that. They're thinking today. They're thinking right now. They're thinking, you know, like I said again, a reality show.
I want to talk a little bit about technology and diversity and entertainment. I know that's a big issue right now, is diversity in Hollywood, but also in tech. So you're sort of sitting at the nexus point between technology and entertainment, and we see, you know, minorities are underrepresented in the technology fields, and then you've got the Oscars so white. I mean, how can we as a society embrace new voices and encourage people to go into business, you know, from the African American community?
If you want to be computer science, then be a computer science, but be the best computer science person that you can, and then you will get noticed. There's no reason for me to dictate and say, well, there's no diversity when you're not interested. Now, if you're interested in entertainment, if your movie is great, your movie is great. I don't feel me as a person, and again, you know, I'm the quintessential urban company, but I feel that we went out there and we did the best we could with what we had, and I think that will prove, in the end,
the quality of your
product.
Yep.
I think that we sit back, and a lot of times, I'm not speaking for every one of us, but a lot of times people sit back and they just want things handed to them, and I don't need a hand. I mean, once I get there, now if it's apples and apples, you have to level the playing field.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think when I think about technology, for example, so only 1% of Google engineers are African American. Right. I think for me, my perspective, some of that has to do with exposure. You know, if you grew up in a wealthier home, your parents are going to send you to camp to learn how to code when you're 5. Right. You know, but if you grew up in another community, you didn't have that exposure. So I completely agree with you that it's about competition. It's your product at the end of the day. But if you're not even around this at all, how are you going to even compete?
Well, I could say this. A lot of times I speak. I'm actually president of the New York State Black Chamber of Commerce. So I promote business and I speak around, and what I mention or what I say to, you know, an African American kid, you know, that's sitting there saying, well, when I'm in the projects per se, and I walk out my projects, how could I choose not to do what they do and do something else. I said, that's up to here. It's not up to them. It's not up to your society to change you. You have to change you, and you have to want better. If you don't want better, you won't be better. You know, if you're telling me I'm not exposed to it, you are exposed to it because you know about it. So that's, what are you saying?
I think you're a determined person. We can tell.
Look, sometimes to my detriment.
Well, so great to have you here. Thanks for coming,
thank
Jay. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks for the call.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.